Hello and welcome back to our next TriCore mat Pilates class. My name is Stephanie and I will be leading you through this workout today. So we're going to start out with some hip opening exercises, or some stretches actually, and then we're really going to have a core and kind of glute based workout. So the only thing that we'll need today is you can use a short box if you have a Pilates short box. You can use a coffee table, a chair, any kind of a step that you have, something that's going to elevate you. We're going to use it for some lunges and for some bridging. So that being said, let's get started. So we're going to take it down to the floor on your knees, and let's start with our left foot coming forward. So as I step forward with that left foot, I want to find this position to where my heel is just slightly in front of my knee. My knee is bent, and as I check in with the setup here, I want to square at my hip. So obviously our tendency is to kind of just roll with that movement. So we want to think about drawing that left hip down and back. And then as I check into my right side, try to find my balance first, I want to keep my toes curled under on that right foot. That's just going to give me a little bit more activation, because what we want to think about here is as we go into these stretches, we're not just collapsing, where if I let my foot go, I tend to just kind of collapse into the movement. Or with that toe tucked, it just gives me a little bit more of connection from the posterior chain. So hamstrings and glutes are active in both sides here. And we're just going to start sweeping the arms forward, reaching up as I lean forward just a little bit. So now you can see activating that glute as I lean forward versus just collapsing into that stretch. So it's active, it's about reaching, and then bring it back. Reach and lower, reach, really engaging that glute on the right side, feeling that stretch through my right quad and right hip flexor. Last two. Last one. All right, so now I'm going to come back and reach my arms right in line with my shoulders. Now from there, we're going to take it into a little rotation. So my lower body's going to do the same motion where I lean forward just a little bit, but now I'm going to rotate towards that front leg and then back to center. So just kind of stretching at a different angle. Great. Good. Let's do that 3 more times. Checking back in with those sit bones. Am I bringing my sit bones together, keeping my pelvis stabilized and not rotating? 2. Last one. Beautiful. All right, so now from there, our last movement, I'm going to turn so that you can see me from the front. This time, I'm not moving forward and back. I'm just going to let my hips shift towards the right as my upper body reaches up and to the left. It's not a big movement, so I don't want you to try to reach so far that you lose your balance. So we're going to reach those arms overhead. And as I lengthen up through the fingertips, lift through the chest, I'm still engaging that hamstring and glute on the right side. I'm just going to do a little gentle side bend and center. Good. And let's do that 6 times. Reach and center. 3 and center. Good. 2 more. And last one. Good. All right. As we come down, I'm going to go ahead and step back, and we're going to switch to the opposite side. So back on my knees, toes of that left foot are curled under. I'm going to step forward with that right foot. Again, I want to walk that right foot forward so the foot's just slightly in front of the knee. I'm going to square at my hips, so I'm going to feel my right hip drop down and back. Left hip gently presses forward by engaging hamstrings and glutes. Arms down by your side. Now from there, we're going to reach up to the ceiling as I lean into it, and then back, and reach, and back. 3. Good. 4. Last 2. 5. And 6. Beautiful. And then reach those arms forward so they're right in line with the shoulders. If at any point this starts to bother that back knee, you can roll up a towel, give yourself a little bit more cushion underneath that knee. And now again, lower body does the same motion, engaging the hamstring and glute on that left side as I lean into it, and then come back to center. And as I lean forward, I like to kind of lift my toes on that front foot to keep the heel anchored down. 3, good. 4, last 2, 5, and on that last one, reach, bring it to center, and then we're going to step it back. And I'm going to turn back to center as I work here, stepping forward with that right foot, and then reaching the arms overhead. I want to make sure that I've got about a hip distance between that front heel and my back knee. So I don't want to be so narrow, that's going to really offset my balance. So really make sure you've got some space between your legs here. Arms extend up. Now this time my hips are shifting over to the left as my upper body reaches right and center. Hips just gently shift and center for 2. And I'm keeping that length. I'm really thinking of reaching up and over to where the wall and the ceiling meet towards that right side versus just collapsing over to the side. We're trying to create lift and length, decompressing that spine versus just collapsing over to the side. Last one. And back to center. Bring those arms down. Okay, so from there, we're going to work on a little bit more glute activation before we get into some standing work and some plank work. So I just want to go into 2 rounds of bridging. So we've done a lot of work to open up the front of the hips. Hip flexors are nice and stretched out. Now we're going to work on some glute activation. So as I lay down on my back, I want to be able to reach down and touch the back of my heels with my fingertips. Arms down by your side, shoulders are back. And now from there, keeping the spine straight as we exhale, I want you to drive down into your heels, and we're keeping the spine steady here. Lift, little pause at the top, slow, controlled release back down. So I'm moving my spine in one big piece, not focusing on articulation, but really focusing more on that, driving the heels down to connect to the hamstrings and glutes. 2, there's a little pause at the top. Exhale and lift. Pause for 3. Good. Let's do that 3 more times. Feeling the toes nice and light, feeling that lift of the arches. Last 2. Squeeze, pause, lower, and last one, lift. Let's hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and lower. All right, so we're going to continue with that glute activation, taking it into a frog bridge. So I'm turning the soles of the feet together, letting my knees fall out to the side, arms are in the same place. Now I'm pressing the feet into each other, just gently driving down through the outer borders of my feet as I press and lift. So obviously a smaller range of motion, but just hitting the hips in those glutes from a different angle. A little pause at the top and lower, still focusing on just stabilizing that spine versus articulation. 3, we've got 3 more. Last 2. On that last one, we're gonna come up and hold it again for 5, 4, 3, 2, and bring it down. Bring those knees up. Draw those knees into the chest. Maybe do a little side-to-side rock of the hips. And then we're rocking on up and taking it into a plank position. So we're just gonna start out here in a plank. So I want you to lift on your hands, on your toes, feet are a hip distance apart, shoulders are back. So what I wanna feel is a sense of down the back of the body. My shoulder blades are sliding down, tailbones reaching towards the heels, and my heels are flexed and reaching back. I'm lifting through the inner arches of my feet, feeling that lift from the inner thighs, low belly, that gives me this open width across the chest. Crown of the head reaches forward. We're gonna hold there for another 15 seconds, focusing on that breath. In through the nose. Exhale, open mouth, soft jaw. Pushing down into the ground for 3, 2, and 1. Bring it down, push back into a child's pose. Let those knees open. Really feeling that upper back work as you press into those palms. Beautiful. All right, so now from there, we're gonna rise up again. Finding that plank position one more time. I'm extending, reaching back through the heels, really setting into those shoulders, reaching out through the crown of the head, and then from there, I'm gonna do a little marching. So I'm just gonna lift one leg, lower, lift, lower. So it's not fast. I'm looking at how can I move my legs without shifting the rest of my body. Lifting just enough to activate those glutes, but not so much that it's gonna make my back sway. Keeping that belly button pulled in towards the spine. Good, we've got 10 seconds here. 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring it down onto your belly. All right, so as we come down onto your belly, we're gonna stack your hands up on top of each other, just in front of your head, and then just rest your forehead down on the mat. So as you set up here, I want you to feel shoulder blades down away from the ears, the back of the neck is nice and long, and go ahead and just focus on your setup. I'm gonna keep my head up so you can hear me. So the back of the neck is nice and long, and that belly is just gently lifting up and away from the mat, and that's gonna create some length down through the tip of the tailbone. So we don't wanna let the belly just hang out, that's gonna compress the back. We wanna think belly draws in to create length in that lumbar spine. The legs reach back, and as we exhale, we're just gonna lift. So it's just a little lift. It's not about height, it's about how can you create that length from the tips of the toes all the way up through the top of the hips. How can you lift those legs without collapsing in the low back, without letting that belly drop? We're lifting. 1, 2, 3, and lower. Lift. 1, 2, 3, and lower. Let's do that 3 more times. Last 2. 1, 2, 3, and lower. And last one. And lower. All right. We're gonna press back into that child's pose one more time. Hips towards the heels. Let those knees open up. Give your body some space. And then rise up. So now we're gonna come into some standing work. So this is where that box is gonna come into play. We're gonna go into some lunge work. So we wanna think about standing in a position where you're away from the box enough that you can reach back, place the top, whoop, if you need balance, get close to a wall, place that foot up on the box, and as you do so, it should be a little bit of a reach, but you should be able to drop that left hip forward and that right hip is back. You can go on the toes. If you want to just put the top of the foot down on the box, you can do that as well. So kind of up to you. I like to stay here, it just makes me feel a little more connected, but find what works for you. So now we're just gonna do 8 on each leg. I'm gonna sweep my arms forward as I take it down for 1, 2, 3, and lift. So I wanna just kind of play with my setup a little bit. I wanna make sure that my stance is wide enough that I can stay anchored down, there you go, through that front heel. So I'm still feeling that sense of this hip drawing back. This hip is dropping forward, I'm staying nice and vertical. 2, 3, 4, good, we've got 4 more here. Slow and controlled is the name of the game here. 3, and lift, 2, and lift, last one, let's hold, give me 3, 2, 1, and bring it up. All right, so we're stepping forward with that left foot and back with the right. So same thing here. Make sure again, as we split those legs, we're not too narrow. So I want to make sure that my foot is not in line with my opposite leg. I'm going to give myself about a hip distance between my feet, even though they're on 2 different planes. My hips are squared, tailbone is lengthening down, shoulder blades are gliding down to keep that chest lifted. We're going to take it down for 8, 7. Pressing down into that standing heel to lift. 6. Last 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Beautiful. Let's step down. Now on those, you can do the split lunge without elevating the foot. Don't feel like you have to use a block or you have to skip those if you don't have something to lift up on. You can very easily just go into your split lunge on the floor. I like the foot elevated. It just enhances that glute work just a little bit more. So now from here, we're going to take it into some balancing work, so some single leg reach. I'm going to draw my left knee up towards my chest first, so just finding that sense of lift through the inner arch of my right foot, that opening up of my right hip. So this position is super important. We want to make sure, feeling that glute and hamstring working, feeling that lift through the front of my body. And now from there, I'm going to start to reach my arms forward as I press back into that left heel, little pause. And then we're bringing the arms down, knee comes up. If you need to hold on to something, find a wall, find a chair. Give yourself something that makes you feel stable, so that we can really focus on what's happening here. And it's really that standing leg. See my ankle kind of shift and wiggle. It's trying to find some stability. I want to make sure that I open up that hip at the very top. I don't want to stay here where I'm connected in my quads. I want to really think hamstrings, glutes. We've got 4 more. Reach. Bring it up. 3. Reach. Bring it up. Last 2. And last 1. Beautiful. All right, so shake that leg out. Really feeling, for me, it's really like the arch of my foot and the calf that had to do a lot of work there. So now we're going to shift to the opposite side, and you'll notice one side is going to be stronger than the other. It's going to feel more stable than the other, and that's okay. That's what we're here for, right? To explore your body, to find the imbalances, and then bring awareness to those imbalances so that we can start to correct them. All right, so we're going to lean forward and reach. Little pause. Press down into that standing heel and lift. Squeeze that left glute. 1. 2. 3. Good. So really taking a little bit more focus for me on this side to keep my balance. A good trick with maintaining balance is find a spot for your eyes to stay focused on, and just staying fixated on that spot. Obviously you want it to be something that's not moving, but if you can stay fixated on that spot, it definitely helps with your balance. We've got 2 more. Last one. Beautiful. All right, step it down, shake it out a little bit. From here, we're going to take it into just a little standing roll down. So we're just doing 1. I'm going to turn and face the other way. We're going to use that box again to do some bridge work. So I'm going to have my feet about a hip distance apart, and I just want to feel balanced from right to left. I'm going to sweep my arms overhead, interlace those fingers, flip the palms to the ceiling. Let my head draw back as I press my hips forward, taking it into, just again, a gentle back bend, using my glutes to protect my lower back so I don't just compress that lumbar spine. And then release those hands, dive down, and then take my hands to the floor. And I'm going to come down to the ground. All right, so from here, and again, the box is optional. It's just another way to connect a little bit deeper into the glutes, give me a little bit more range of motion. So we're going to scoot to a position where when I put my heels on top of the box, my knees should be over my hips. Now this time we're going to take our work back into spinal articulation. So arms are down by your side. I'm pressing back into my shoulders, pressing down into my palms, keeping the back of the neck nice and long. So I want to make sure that I'm not jetting that chin forward. I just want to soften it down and see how that releases that little occipital spot at the back of my neck. Now from there, I'm going to take a deep breath in. As I breathe in, I want to feel my back fill with air. That gives me this nice wide belly. And then as I exhale, tucking the tailbone, I'm going to lift from the tip of the tailbone, and I want to imagine that I'm lifting one vertebrae at a time off of the mat until I'm in this full bridge. So again, checking back in with my shoulders at the top, feeling that width across my collarbones, feeling that sense of reach through my knees, down through my tailbone keeps me out of my lower back. I don't want to relax here. I want to make sure those glutes are active, hips are open as I roll all the way back down. All right, we're going to do that 5 more times, just moving with the breath this time. So inhale, back flat, exhale, roll to the top of the shoulders, inhale at the top, exhale as we curl back down, one vertebrae at a time. That's 2, we've got 4 more to go. Last 3. Good. 2 more. All right. From there, we're going to bring it back into center. Now this time we're going to do some single leg work. The left heel is going to reach towards the ceiling. Try to get that leg as straight as you can. So if you're tight in the hamstrings, you might be here. Maybe lower the leg so that you can really press into that heel. Because what I want to think about is I'm equally reaching up with my heel as much as I'm pushing down with my right heel. So left heel is reaching, right heel is pressing, and that's going to help keep my hips centered. As we go back into a bridge work, this time we're stabilizing the spine again, driving down into my right heel to lift for 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it down. Left heel on the box. Right heel reaches. Feeling that hamstring. Pressing down into that left heel. Right heel reaches to the ceiling for 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't cut yourself short. Make sure those hips come all the way down and lower. Whew. All right. Feeling those hamstrings and glutes here. We're going to rock on up. And then I'm going to turn into our quadruped position. So on my hands and knees, shoulders are stacked right over my wrist. My knees are about a hip distance apart. Now from there, I'm going to take my left hand and bring it back. My right hand is going to reach over towards the left. So I have a little bit of this kind of reach position, a little bit of a rotation. I'm coming towards the leg that's staying down and extend the opposite leg. I'm just starting with this leg lift. So just like when we were planking, we want to imagine that we're lifting from the hamstring, from the glute, without arcing the back, without compromising the position of the spine. We've got 4, 3, 2, on 1. We're going to stay lifted. Now this time we're going to arc. So I should be able to look back and just kind of see that heel. And then up and over. So kind of drawing this little rainbow. 2, 3, 4, 5. Last 2. 2. Last 1. Beautiful. Bring that in. Sit back towards your heels. Bring it back up into the middle. We're going to meet here for just a little cat-cow. As we inhale, extend. As we exhale, flex. Let's do that 3 more times. Feeling that width across the chest. That length in the abdominals. Last 2. Last 1. All right, so from there, let's find that neutral position. I'm gonna bring my right hand back. My left hand's gonna reach over. So just that slight reach, that slight angle. Extend back through that left leg. And then I'm just gonna lift and lower. So I like to flex that foot, press back into my heel as I lift and lower. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're gonna lift, bring it up and over. So again, I should be able to see the foot just out of my view back there, and center. Lift and over. Lift and over. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. All right. Set it back again. Going into that child's pose one more time. And rounding all the way back up. Now as we rise up, I'm gonna come onto my knees, turn and face this way so you guys can see from the side view. I'm gonna go back to working my right leg here. So from here, I'm gonna take my right foot and extend it out. So from this side, it should be right in line with my heel, or with my hip, and then my arms are gonna reach out to the side. Finding that reach out through the fingertips, connecting with the back, the chest is lifted. As I inhale, I'm gonna reach to the left. Exhale, center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, center. Last 2. On that last one, I'm gonna reach and then keep reaching, keep reaching, keep reaching until I can put my left hand down on the floor. As my right foot slides in, I'm shifting just enough so that my shoulder is stacked over my wrist, and then my right arm is gonna reach to the ceiling. And then from there, I'm starting with my right foot down. I'm just gonna sweep my right arm up and over. So I'm creating this sense of lift and length from the fingertips of my right hand down to the toes of my right foot. My hips stay open, belly's tight, and then from there, I'm gonna bring my arm and my leg towards each other, and then reach and lower. I'm gonna flex my foot as I lift, I'm gonna point as I reach and lower. 4, and reach. 5, and reach. 6, and reach. Last 2. Last 1. Reach, hold, bring that right hand behind your head. As I reach into that right heel, I'm just gonna do small circles for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful, that leg is gonna come down. I'm gonna sweep that right arm out one more time. Just gonna draw back through the fingertips, through the toes, opening up that right side of my body. And then from there, I'm gonna set up in a side plank. So bringing my right foot forward, my left leg is gonna extend out. And then I wanna stack my feet up. So we're just doing a few reps here. Keep that balance. That right leg is gonna lift and lower. 2, 3, 4, halfway there, I'm shaking. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Woo. Flip forward. Set back into those heels for your child's pose. I know it's a lot on the wrist. So we're gonna go into another plank, but this time let's come down onto our forearms. Give those wrists a break. Hold that plank position. We're going 45 seconds here. Heels are reaching back. Belly's lifting in and up. I still want to focus on that sense of shoulder blades gliding down. Crown of the head reaches out. And as we hold, breathe. In through the nose. Exhale, those feet flex. Belly's tight. Beautiful. We've got 15 seconds here. Last 3, 2, 1. Walk it back. And as we rise up, we'll turn and face towards the front again. All right, so from there, I'm extending my left leg out. The toes will reach. And again, I want to be right in line with my hip. Arms are going to float up to a T position. Chest is lifted, shoulders are back. As we inhale, we're going to lengthen. Exhale, center. Inhale, reach. Good, reach. 3, reach. 4, and on this next one, we're going to keep reaching, keep reaching, keep reaching until that hand comes down onto the floor. And then I'm going to take that left arm and reach overhead. Just finding that length from the tip of my fingers to the tips of my toes, reaching in both directions. So I want to feel this sense of opposition. That's what's going to open up at my hip, open up at my ribs. And then from there, we're going to float that left leg up the arc, right left arm comes down, and reach. We're going to go for 8 here. 2, 3, 4, 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So from there, I'm going to reach and then bring that hand back behind my head. And now reaching through that left heel, we're circling for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so from there, let's extend out to that side plank. Whew. Find that balance, find that stability through the right shoulder. Left leg is gonna lift and lower. 7, whew, balance. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. Good job, guys. There's a lot of work on the wrist. A lot of upper body work today. It's kind of sneaky upper body work because we really didn't do anything that was isolating the upper body other than just holding ourselves up, which is great for the arms, great for the back. So let's take a minute, stretch those wrists out. So we're gonna go into our tabletop position. I'm kind of sitting back onto my heels a little bit, and then I'm just gonna do little gentle rocks. Rocking forward, getting a stretch in my forearms, and then coming back. Rocking forward, coming back. And as I rock forward, I'm gonna hold there, and then maybe just shift left, shift right. 2, 3. Good, now from there, I'm gonna rock forward into my hands, and then I'm gonna lift onto my knuckles. So trying to keep my fingers down, I wanna rise up, and then lower. Rise up, and lower. Let's do that 2 more times. Last one, rise up, hold it there, spread those fingers out, hold for 3, 2, 1, bring it back. All right, and then just bring those hands out. Roll it up. Okay, so we're gonna finish today's work with a nice deep hip stretch. So, we're gonna bring that right leg forward, and I wanna try to get that heel not quite in line with my knee, but just below my knee. And then I'm gonna rotate my body and bring it over that leg. So if you're a yogi, this is kind of your pigeon pose. I wanna work on making sure that that leg is straight behind me. And I just wanna start with a little bit of an active stretch here. So I'm sitting back into that right hip. I'm just gonna let my elbows bend, my chest come down, and then press down into my palms to rise up, dropping that left hip forward as I lift my chest, but keeping that left glute slightly active. I wanna lower and lift. Beautiful. Lower. Pressing down into the top of my foot, pressing down into my left hip, engaging that left glute as I rise. Last two. Last one. Beautiful. Let's take it down to the mat. Now, if you have it available, you can come down onto your forearms. If you even want to go a little bit deeper into it, you can lower and rest your head on the back of your hands, or you can extend your arms out and rest your forehead on the mat. Now let's just hold that for 3, 2, 1. I'm going to start to walk my hands back. And just so you know, this is the end of the workout. So if you want to stay there for a little bit longer before you switch to the other side, feel free to take as much time as you need. But I'll hold here, stabilize with my right hand, and then my left knee is going to bend. I'm going to reach back with my left hand and just take that quad into just a little bit of a deeper stretch. Rolling my shoulder back. I'm just gently going to start by pushing the foot back into my hand. That's going to stretch the shoulder. And then as I start to soften my hip down, I kind of balance that out. So I'm kind of playing this like tug of war between my foot and my arm to create this nice pull and opening of the hip. We're going to hold it for 3, 2, and 1. Release that, and then let's come back to center. So we're going to switch to the other side. So as we set up here, same thing, I want to bring my left leg, it's going to bend into that figure 4 position. Heel should be just below the knee, and I will tell you, this is the tighter side for me, so it's going to feel and look different than my right side. Maybe it doesn't look as different, but it feels like a totally different body. So as I hold here, I want to square up my hips. My left hip is trying to soften back as much as it can. It's definitely giving me a little more resistance on this side. My right hip is drawing forward, and we're just going to inhale, bend the elbows, lower towards the floor. Exhale and press. And as I press up, again, I want to think about kind of pressing gently down into the top of my right foot, right shin. My right hip is drawing forward. Inhale, bend. Press, 2, bend, 3, 2 more. Last one. Beautiful. Now from there, let's take it to the ground. So again, you can go forearms, you can go head on the back of the hands, or just let your arms extend and just hold. Releasing the tension out of your neck, out of your jaw. Let's hold for 3, 2, and on 1. Let's start walking it back. And as I come up, I want to stabilize with my left hand. I'm going to bend to that right knee. And with my right hand, reach back and grab the top of that foot. Now same thing here. Rolling the shoulder back and just gently pressing the foot into my hand as I pull in opposition. My right hip is falling forward. I'm going to take that gaze back for 3, 2, come back to center. That is going to be it for us today, guys. If you enjoyed that mat class, please give us a comment, give us a like, let us know. Have a good day. Thanks.